Whoops. I guess I shall check the camera, make sure that they are on. Turn that off. Okay. Are we good? It looks like we're all good. Good morning, Treasure Hardies. Um, it's been quite of a exciting morning this morning, as you saw. A lot of technical things because I haven't run. Sorry, I haven't been using this aspect of the live. I mean, I do have two different setups. This is just one of them. The other setup is usually when I'm at the cutting table or my crafting table when I'm doing reeds or other crafting stuff. And it was working fine last week, so I don't know why it started acting up this week, but I think I got all the kinks out. Yeah. How is everybody this morning? Glad that you made it here. And let's just do our usual thing here. So we got hello, Miss Carissa. Good morning, good morning. Hey, 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 Miss Donna Hoskins. We got Miss Kev Mirth. That's Mary. Good morning, all. Another day, another migraine. I may just lurk. Okay. Well, glad you're here, Mary. Hope you feel better. Um, Donna says, "Oh no, sorry, migraines are very painful. Hope you do. Hope you feel better soon." Yes, Mary. Hope you do. You missed out on the live or the Zoom last week, which was awesome. But well, hope you feel better after today. Teresa's here. Hello, Teresa. Molly Fisher is here. Hi, Molly. Um, let's see. Joy T. Hello. Good morning, Joy. And we got Barbara Cade. Hello, Barbara. How are you? Glad you made it here this morning. Okay, and then we got Crystal L. Hello, Miss Crystal. Okay, so let's see. What am I up to today? Can I do this? Okay. So we're going to be putting, well, actually, let me switch it back. Sorry. Switch it back to this camera because if you've been following me, or if you've been following me for a while, you know that all of last year I've been putting this quilt top together. It's called the Farmer's Wife quilt. Now, the entire quilt has over 100, I think, what did I count? Somewhere around 110 different quilt blocks. In fact, where's the book? This was the book that I've been basing everything off of. Now, again, it's not a pattern booklet, so it doesn't give you step-by-step instructions on how to construct each of the blocks. It more or less tells you the stories behind, or gives you some of the letters that were written in about this quilt, or what inspired the quilt, I guess you could say. And so all throughout 2024, I've been doing various blocks. Actually, I remember this was my favorite one. I remember that. And sorry, I got to cover up that. And so it gives you the, well, it doesn't give you the sizes. So it gives you like a template that there is a template set that you can either download, or if you buy the book, you got to be careful about this because sometimes the book does not come with the CD, and sometimes it does come with the CD where it has all of those templates for you to cut out the individual pieces. And you can go to the website that's here in the book and just download all of the templates, and you can cut out your individual pieces. This one is actually this block that I made. And so I didn't do the whole 100 and whatever quilt blocks. I actually only did, let's see, on the back of the book, there is different sizes. So here's the twin. That's the queen. But the size that I did was the lap size. And so it's the smallest one of all because I was not going to do all 100 and whatever blocks. This required, let's see. Oh, it doesn't say. Oh, 50. 50 blocks, which we do have 50 blocks here. So today I'm going to start putting this quilt top together. We'll see how far along we get. Now I can switch to the other camera. So I don't know what I will be using as my background on the quilt top just yet, but I do want to use up this brown. Now I have more of it somewhere, but this will be the sashing. I kind of figured let's just take a color that's not exactly in the quilt. Yeah, sorry, I had to double check that. Let's take a fabric that's not really in the quilt. Now there are brown colors in the quilt, but not exactly this fabric, and different shades of brown. And I'm just going to cut sashing and sew it together. Brenda Foley says it's thunderstorming. Oh, it's thundering, storm-headed in high winds. Pray electric holds out. So many irons in the fire. Well, Brenda, please stay safe. Hope that the storm just passes through and doesn't do much damage. Good morning, Pearl. From Moreno Valley. Exciting. Yes, Brenda, very exciting. Yeah, this weather's been weird because even here in Las Vegas, I mean, it was reaching up to the high 70s, low 80s one week, and then all of a sudden it went shooting back down. And right now, I just checked in my apartment here, it's 66, but outside it must be like 50, maybe in the 40s. I don't know. But it's been weird because we thought that spring was on its way because the weather started warming up, but no, it just went right back and went back into winter. Strange. And there's still snow-capped mountains here. Every morning as I head out into work, I always look at the mountains and it just looks beautiful there. But then you see all the concrete jungle that surrounds it and like, oh crap. Contradiction. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my sashing. And we will start to, I need to cut this down. So let me do that. And if in case you didn't know this, each of the blocks finish at 6 inches. So unfinished 6.5. So I'll be cutting 6.5 inch strips here. Need a ton of them. Cut the selvage. And where did I put my trash? There. And we will do la-di-da. Let me move this tray out so I can extend it. 6.5. 6.5. Go. Is that really 6.5? Seems short. And who is texting me this early? Okay, that's work. I can deal with that later. not quite enough, so I will extend this out. How is everybody this morning, or what are we all working on so early in the morning? Well, for some of you, I know it's approaching lunchtime. For others of you, it might be nighttime. And for the rest of us, it's early in the morning. Carissa says was close to 80 a couple days ago. It's 35 for a high today. Rainy mess. Wow. See? Weird weather, right? Weird weather. Wonder if it's an El Nino year. I should look that up. Hey, Alexa, is 2025 an El Nino year?
Latest forecasts from WMO Global Producing Centers of Long-Range Forecasts indicate a 55% likelihood of a transition from the current neutral conditions, neither El Nino nor La Nina, to La Nina conditions during December 2024 to February 2025.
Oh, no, so it was last year, according to Alexa. Thank you. I'm just cutting off the selvage there. Since I already got 2 of them, let's see how much we can get out of this. Okay. This brown fabric actually came off of an experiment that I did with another quilt, and I was trying to figure out how to use dark brown fabric like this, and it actually worked out really well. What I learned from it is that brown, okay, I don't know whose favorite color brown would be, or if anybody does have a favorite color which is brown, but I was just trying to learn how to use this color and this shade, or different shades of brown. What I learned from it was that when you have multiple colors, or if you have a quilt that's very scrappy, like the one, like this quilt, for example, brown actually performs very well. It almost acts like a black fabric, but it doesn't suck the color off. Black has a tendency of just kind of like sucking in all the color and the beauty of everything, which is why some artists don't like using black as a background. But brown has this, it sort of has the same effect, but it doesn't mute the colors as much, I found. And so it's sort of one of those, like, if this were a movie, this would be the supporting cast that makes everybody else shine. Okay. I should have ironed these strips before, but that's okay. It's just, I mean, this is not going to be a special heirloom quilt, so. Let's see. And Brenda Foley says, exciting that you're at the put it together stage. Yes. I am at the put it together point, which is the first major hurdle. Second major hurdle is the get it basted and get it quilted. Or actually get it basted. Getting it quilted is another thing. Okay, and I'm only doing a stack of 2 because this fabric is very stretchy, or not. I didn't iron it, I didn't starch it, so it's like really was kind of, well, I kind of ran it through the iron real quickly, but it's kind of still crinkly, so I don't feel like I would get an accurate cut if I had multiples of it. So I'm just doing 2 at a time here. And Now, I could have actually just used, or if I well, if I was better prepared for this morning, I will admit I was kind of rushing it, and then the computer started acting up. But normally, if I'm doing a quilt, like if I was doing this on a normal, not doing it live, I would actually iron all of these so that I could get better cuts and more accurate cuts, and then kind of starch it before cutting it, iron it out, and then cut it into strips. But I was kind of in a rush this morning. Yeah, so this is really not really wasn't folded on the bolt very well, so which is part of the reason why it's a little skewed, but that's okay. We make do. So, hey Kim. Hi Kelly Quilts and Cruises. And Mary says, had 3 sew days here in town. I'm tired. I took Margaret Lewin's friendship chain. I've made mistakes every time I've sewed it. I guess I should have read the pattern. Hey, sew as you go. Right? That's so funny because I know a lot of us will buy a pattern thinking that we're going to make the quilt, and we end up not even reading the pattern and make mistakes along the way, and then we realize that we need to read the pattern. Isn't that something? Okay, let's see. Kim says, I was pinning and batting one of those table runners. Tedious process. Oh my gosh. Kim, if you would allow me to give permission to post it on Facebook, I will do that. But of course, that's up to you. But you should see the table runners that she put together because they're embroidered. And I think they're gorgeous. I really do. They kind of remind me of those old style handkerchiefs that women used to carry. And you know what? I'm going to sew these scraps together because I can get another piece out of this. Yeah, this was a project. Well, I was actually just kind of sewing scraps last night when I really should have been preparing for this morning. And you know what? I can get 2.5-inch squares out of this, so I will cut that. I know I've asked this question to everyone before, but has anyone actually done the farmer's wife quilt? Kim says read that. Okay. I have a special request if it's okay to ask. Go ahead, Kim. I almost always make a test block before I cut into my intended fabric because everyone makes mistakes. Yes, we all do, Carissa. I'm glad that we all admit that we do make mistakes. But making mistakes along the way is part of the fun, right? Now, am I off camera? Or am I out of... Nope, I'm still there. Okay. Do-do-do. This can go into the 2.5-inch square bin. And do I have a thread on me? Okay. Let me take this small piece off there. I'll press this seam open. 6.5. Scrap, crumb bin, and I got another piece out of that now. That's not going to be as noticeable. Did I just cut that too short? Nope. Okay. Okay, I'll put those pictures of the table runner that Kim has been working on. I'll put it to the Facebook group so that everybody can see it. Let's see, Crystal L. Hello, Crystal. I've been working on a 9 patch for a good friend and his wife. Ooh. I haven't done a 9 patch in years, or like a full 9 patch quilt. I should think about that. Because, I mean, I make them, I just don't use them, or I cut them up and turn them into something else. So, Brenda Foley says, I'm working on the farmer's wife, slowly but surely, make blocks with my scraps. My goal was to make all the blocks. Wow. So you're going to do, you know what, this is going to bug me all day. How many blocks are there, really? So I'm imagining you're doing the king size. Okay, the king size is 145 blocks. Wow. You're going to repeat 34 of them. So that means 111 blocks altogether. Wow. That is ambitious there. I give you credit for that one, Brenda. But then again, if you do it as a scrap project and you're just kind of doing it as you go or working your way in between other projects, it's not all that bad. I mean, it's going to take you a while, but it's, you know, that's a pretty good idea. Okay. How did you and Marty like the class? So she's talking to Mary. Rachel has a serious issue. They found a large blood clot in her last ultrasound. She has to have another, but they may have to take baby early by C-section. She's afraid needs a lot of prayers. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So prayer group, let's get those prayers out and let's send some good positive vibes to Rachel. That is, well, that is serious news. Okay. We should come up with a name for that. Prayer warriors, maybe? I don't know. Doesn't matter what denomination you are, just send positive vibes to the family. That's what I say. Now, personally, if you didn't know, I'm not, I am a practicing Buddhist. I don't talk about religion on this channel because, well, it's not the space to do that. Although I may introduce certain principles to it if it's relevant to the topic of discussion, but I'm not doing it as a way of putting others down or oppressing people about their religious beliefs. But, you know, as long as it's uplifting and positive, I'm all for it. And I have no problem with people saying, you know, who are Christian and, you know, I pray for you. Well, thank you. In your, you know, you do it in your own way. So enough about that. Okay, but let's send some positive vibes and positive prayers to Kim and the family, or to Rachel and the family about that. She is pregnant. The baby was due, was it June or later this year? But as you just saw, she might have to have a C-section. So that's some pretty serious news there. If she delivers naturally, risk of hemorrhage is high, and she and the baby may be in danger. Okay, so more so. Prayer warriors, let's go. See, I knew you guys would come through. And Kelly Quilts and Cruises says, hubby and I just folded up a king-size sheet up to put away. Ferris and Henry thought it would be fun to wrestle underneath it all the time. At the time, okay. I'm assuming Ferris and Henry are your fur babies. All right, so if actually this would be a good time to actually pop in this. So I figured since it is relevant to the topic, you eat what? That was wrong. Can't type this morning. Figure if it is relevant to the topic, let's ask this question. So if it pops up, Kim says she's due June 17th. It's definitely a boy. Saw the last ultrasound. Okay. Is it gonna work? Did I spell it right? Maybe it's not working. Okay. Anyway, question of the that I had posed actually. If it did, why is it not working? Oh, that's because I actually changed the command. Hold on. Well, still didn't get it right. So instead of exclamation question, I forgot that last week I changed it to exclamation hot topic. So have you done a quilt on point? And what challenges did you face while doing it? Or are you afraid of doing a quilt on point or don't know how to do it? So, okay, so on point just simply means that if you are putting a quilt, normally you have your quilt blocks like that. But on point just basically means that you turned it so that it's more or less, the block is diagonal. There's a bit of a challenge into putting together a quilt top that's on point because of the fact that it's turned. And so normal, maybe I can do this. Normally when you put a quilt together, you have all of your various quilt blocks laid out like this. Well, I'll flip it so that there's a bit of contrast there. Something like that. Sorry, let me move it up so you can actually clearly see it so that I'm out of the way there. So this is a normal quilt layout in that grid format. When you have it on point though, it's a little bit more of a challenge because you don't have, the rows are there, they're organized a little differently. So if I put it on point, this is what it kind of more or less turns out to be. So instead of your rows being like this, your rows are actually going at that same angle, and it presents a different challenge because now you got this empty space to fill in here, as well as the sides here, and then you got a corner piece that has to go there. So these are called the side setting triangles that go there and there. And then you do have your corner triangles that go in the corner. So it's a little bit difficult, a different technique to put it together, and there's a little bit of math. Whoops, sorry about that. There is a little bit of math that you have to do in terms of how to cut those side setting triangles. But if you can successfully do it, this is what you get. And it gives the quilt, or it gives the block, a little bit of a different look. Sometimes it looks better, sometimes it doesn't, and that's just a matter of opinion. Kelly Quilts and Cruises says, yes, Eric, they are Bernese mountain dogs. Ooh, big dogs. Baby's name is Tate Isaac, and he's growing normally, all organs in place, and heartbeat is strong. He's very active, so that's good. So let's just hope Mama pulls through then. Love the name, yeah, Tate Isaac. Kim says she hasn't done on point, but want to with the set of blocks I have. Okay. Mary says, I have not, but I love yours. Well, thank you, Mary. Kim says, when they try to capture his face, he turns away before he gets it. Oh, geez. Kelly Quilts and Cruises says, I have not anything on point. One idea I have for the future will require 2 blocks on point, maybe for next year. Okay, so this might be a lesson for everybody. Jackie says, I did try once, ended up ripping more seams than I didn't. Might try again once I have a design space. Okay. Donna Jordan has a lot of good tips about dealing with on-point quilts. She has several videos with quilts done that way. Yes, she does. I actually learned a tip or two, a lot of tips actually from Donna Jordan based upon what she's done on the quilts on point. So let's see. I'm gonna start from that corner. I know you guys can't see it; it's off camera, but yeah. Well, let me start with this corner here then. So here's my corner block. I'm just gonna add the sashing. So I'm just gonna add my side sashing pieces here. Now, when you do have a block on point, it is very important that you somehow stay organized, because it is very easy to get lost or turn and sew something on wrong. So normally what I would do is I would take my camera or take a cell phone, take a picture of it, make sure that I got the layout that I want, and then at least in the whole rubble of putting everything together, at least I have something that I can reference back to. Let me tell you, especially if you're somebody that likes to chain piece stuff together, it is very easy to turn something around or sew something out of order. And then you might not notice it until the very last stitch when you got everything done. And then suddenly you see something blaring at you that, hey, that's wrong. Then you gotta rip. Okay. For me, I'm not gonna attempt to chain stitch blocks in unless they're within the same row, simply because, again, I don't want to get mixed up. I just find that anytime I try and chain piece a whole or like blocks together, I just get myself confused. So I'm fine if the blocks are in the same row. Yeah, I can chain piece it together, but yeah, it's not a good idea for me to do that if the blocks are actually in different rows. Okay, so this is my corner piece in which I'm going to need a separate triangle here to actually make it square, or to make that corner like a normal squared up quilt top. Brenda Foley says she has made a few on point. Brenda, any tips that you can share or mind sharing with anybody? One table runner is 45 by 48. The other is 22 by 60, bigger than I thought. Okay, that's Kim Burris. And Kelly Quilts and Cruises says, bye. I have to go. Laundry needs changing. Happy quilting. Thanks for stopping by, Kelly. So here's my corner. I will put it up right like that. Okay, so here is my next row, in which I'm just going to sew, let's see, it went like this. Wait, hang on a second. There's something I should have actually looked up before. Let's see if I can actually do this. Just gonna change the direction of the camera because it's bothering me. There we go. That should be better. So the row is laid out in this manner when it's on, or when the quilt will be put together. The row actually goes in this. So the block that I just sewed on actually goes up here. Then this is the next row. And so I will sew sashings here. So I'll line that one up. Sew another one here. One more here. The final one will go here. Okay. So in this manner, I can actually chain piece all of this together, because again, it's all within the same row. Move that out of the way. Okay, take my next block. Line that up and let's start going. Can remove this one. I'm going to press that back. And we'll take this. Press that back. I'm just finger pressing this for now. These two will go together. Cut that. And I know I gotta sew this one on. press this one back, and I'm pressing in towards the sashing. Next row I will press out. So it goes like that. And I can sew off on a piece of scrap here. We'll get a few rows done on this live. And well, maybe next live we will continue. And yes, there will be another live. Maybe, I know Saturday I'm at the quilt show. Maybe possibly on Sunday. We'll see. Where I'm going to actually continue on with this project, because I want to actually call this, or get this in the quilt top done column. Okay, so it went like that. There's the row. But when you see it in the quilt, it'll actually go like that. And then again, this block will end up being right there. And so I need to actually cut out another piece of fabric to match this triangle shape, as well as this triangle shape. And then there's another triangle that goes up here for the corner. Okay. But let's do this. Well, I know you can't see it on the camera, but it'll go up like that. Then I can grab the next row. Okay, now, whoops. Next row has a total of 5 pieces, which I can't fully lay out on this space here, but there's sashing there. But I will grab the other 2 blocks once I start sewing these together. There. So just laying it out there. Take the next one. Cut that one off. Hey, June Hansen. Brenda Foley says, your tips are great. I couldn't do it without a design wall. I also sew from the middle row out. Okay. Some people like to start in the corners when they do an on-point quilt and work their way throughout the whole quilt all the way down. Sometimes when I do an on-point quilt, I will start from one corner and start from the opposing, oh, sorry, let me do this. I'll start in one corner and I'll kind of start from the opposite side corners and then work my way to the middle. The middle row, that is going to be the longest row because you got the most blocks coming through there. So, and then when I get the two halves or the rows for the two halves put together, I sew the whole thing, and that's going to be the longest seam because it is stretching the entire width of the quilt. So there's various strategies in how you can do it. It's just more or less, how do you keep yourself, well, the big point for me is just how do you keep yourself organized? How do you keep it all, find your own rhythm, find your own system, because it is very easy to get stuff mixed up. And if you're not keeping track of it, or if you don't have kind of some systematic way of putting it together, yeah, it can be a big mess. So let's switch back to that camera. But the advantage in what Brenda's saying in starting with the middle is, again, that is the longest seam. And so the advantage of that is that as you build your way out, the seams get shorter and shorter. And I do know that sometimes for some people that's easier. I've done that at times when I have lately really big blocks. I want to get the longest part out of the way. Hey, why not? Hello, Miss Linda. Popping in late, enjoying the quilt show. This will be the first I missed in 6 years. Really? Wow. Specialist ordered oxygen for me, and I'm not permitted to exercise anymore without it. Aww. Isn't the point of exercise so that you can actually train your body to take in more oxygen? That seems weird. Wow. Linda, that kind of reminds me of work. We were just having a whole discussion, or I was kind of arguing with one of our vendors, in which, for those of you who don't know, I do work kind of tangent to the medical field. We provide non-emergency transportation for patients. And so having things like oxygen tanks, dealing with insurance companies, that's sort of my world right now. And they're not fun to deal with. Let me tell you that. A lot of bureaucracy. Okay, so these were the other two blocks. And so I know this is my block. That's number 1. This is number 2. Here's number 3. So this will be 4. And this is the side. So on this one, I do need to sew a sashing there and another one here. But I'll put that one on. Well, I'll just lay it on for now. Doo-doo-doo. I'll press that back, and I will put that at the bottom of the stack. Let me remove that temporarily now. Whoops. And you know what? I'm afraid I'm gonna get myself confused, so I'm just gonna sew on a piece of scrap so I can take this one off, and then I will sew on the other side of the sashing here so that I know that this is the end of the row. And I did not square up these blocks, so this actually, is this short? Yep, that's why. So this one must be, this one's a little short too. Need to fix that later. And these are short pieces, so I'll put that to the side. Or actually, I can kind of make up for it by taking another scrap and piecing it together. You know what? I will flip this over because realign it. Has anyone seen, or does anyone have a Joann's that's, well, I know all of us know by now that they're all shutting down. I did end up going to Joann's last week just to see what was there. It's the busiest time to go, of course, because everybody's there looking for a bargain. But I didn't really buy any fabric. I was buying crafting supplies, which, I mean, the discounts were not that great. I think they're just holding out for the I think people are, because they know that they're shutting down, going out of business. You know, people were thinking they were going to get deep discounts, in which, if you're not a regular of Joann's, it might seem like everything is at a deep discount, but it's really not. It's just their usual discounted prices, 20% off, 30% off. Some stuff is 40% off or half off. But yeah, I just saw a lot of people there. Fabric selection wise, pretty decent. Nothing I was going crazy over though, because again, the prices were not like, they were just their usual discounted prices. But yeah, I was not waiting in line to get some fabric cuts for that, because there must have been over, what, 50 people just in the queue to reach the cutting table. When I first got there, I asked one lady, hey, what number are you? You know, because you got to pull the tag so that you can get help with the cutting. They just called out number 36. She was number 82. And they only had 3 people cutting, which was kind of interesting. Let me just say that. So here's 1 and 2. This will be the last one. So I do have to take this one off. Well, almost cut the fabric, or almost cut the block actually. And then this is my middle piece. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Get that on. And this is my last one. need to take this one off. Sorry, I was like, where did I put that strip that I know I surgically put it back together? And this was the other one. So I think this is big enough. I cut these pieces a little short, so now I kind of have to surgically put them back together. Or add a little extension. Oh, don't say that word to me right now because there's a lot of people filing extensions for their taxes. So there's the row. And so this piece will go like right there. Okay, so now we're starting to get into the long pieces here because this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So row of 7, then another row of 9 there. Yeah. But before we start with that, let's see. Hey Remo. Hello, good afternoon. Hi Joyce. Okay. No bargains at Joann's. The thread was 49% off. Truly disappointed. Yeah, see? I guess when the announcement went out, again, they were expecting the mad rush of people, but the corporation that took over Joann's probably didn't know that the deep discounts that Joann usually had were the same ones that they were putting out right now. So it's like, it's not, don't go there looking for bargains. Let me just tell you that. And Crystal L says, sorry, got around. Have a good weekend. Thanks for stopping by, Crystal. Here, no less than 2 yards. Yep. I don't want fabric that badly. Yeah, Mary, it wasn't really worth it. My weak point in fabric is actually Christmas fabric. I don't know why, but there were some Christmas prints that I was kind of tempted to buy, but after I saw how long the queue and the cutting line was, no, I was not going to waste my time just waiting for them. So, and the register line was also another story. But I did find some pretty decent deals on stuff that's not normally on sale, which is what I went for, which is like paper crafting supplies and just crafting supplies in general. I actually bought like a whole case of those round styrofoam balls, so I have a fresh supply when I need to start making ornaments again. And actually, I should probably start now because, yeah, Mom called me up the day after Christmas and said, oh, I didn't do my ornament order. So, yeah, she didn't forget. Sorry about that. I know the camera is giving me a warning. Remo J says, her Joann's had no interfacing or muslin. Wow. Heaven knows I do not need more fabric. That's Kim. But you know you want more. Mimo says, I'm in Ohio. They have warehouses, so Joann's is sending to stores that are moving merchandise. Still hiring employees. We're told 30% discount might be taken away. Ooh, that's interesting. Insider told me no markdowns, letting people use up gift cards. Okay, that makes sense. You know, I actually saw on eBay a gift card for Joann's. I mean, it was a $50 gift card, but still, like, what's the point? The liquidators are setting the prices. Some yardage is selling for more than the original price. Yeah, case in point, I just don't feel like you're going to get a bargain. Now, maybe when you get closer to the actual closeout date, that's when they'll start putting the deep stuff, because now they know they have to get rid of everything. So, okay, next row. Or actually, where is the fabric that I wanted to use? Let me do this. So, part of the challenge, for those of you who came in late, let me type this in. Whoops. So the question that I'm posing to everybody is, have you done a quilt on point? And what are the challenges that you faced when you did put that on quilt on point? Again, part of the issue with doing a quilt on point is that you do have the side setting triangles, in which it does require a little bit of math to put together. So here's a normal. Do I have any more of the blue? No. Well, then let's switch colors here. So let's pretend that, you know, this is like your typical quilt layout in the grid formation, where it's just you sewing the blocks together. Right in a row like this. So you construct your quilt blocks, then you start sewing the rows together, then you sew the entire quilt top together. Typical quilt block assembly. When you put a quilt on point, that means then your block is rotated so that it's more or less set on kind of diagonally here. And the challenge with that, 1, 2, 3. So this is what is meant when there's a quilt, when you put a quilt on point. It's just that instead of doing it like this, it's turned so that the block is kind of set kind of diagonally at a 45-degree angle. And it gives the block or quilt a very, very different look. The challenge is the empty spaces here. So you have to cut a triangle to fill in. Let me use a different color fabric here so you see what I mean. Yeah, this will be good. There's triangles that need to go in there. So that when you make the quilt and you start actually quilting it, you have an actual square quilt, or like a regular quilt. Basically, these are just to kind of fill in the spaces here. Oop, come on, stay down. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. All of the edges are going to be filled in with these triangles. And not everybody knows how to calculate that number. And so that's part of the challenge with this. And when you put your quilt together, as I've been doing, you start, instead of sewing, I mean, you can't just sew all of these directly across. Here's what I mean by that. For those of you who were here, I started with, I didn't have these pieces, but I started sewing sashing pieces to this block. Then I took the next one, sewed sashing pieces to this, and then considered this entire, or considered this as another row. Then we come up with the next one. Put your sashing pieces on and sew this row together. Now, what I could start doing is actually, well, actually not at this point, but eventually what will happen is then you'll put a triangle piece here and your side setting triangle here. And then you'll get another one here. And then another one goes here. Ow, I just hit my head. Then you can start sewing the rows together. So I would sew this row to this row. Then, you know, you can start connecting the rows and so forth. So yeah, that's part of the challenge, or part of the difficulty. Well, at least for me, when I first did my first on point quilt, was just trying to change the mindset. Instead of sewing straight across and then sewing the rows together, the rows are actually set at an angle. And quite honestly, I didn't know how to calculate the number, or how to cut the fabric or measure the triangles, the side setting triangles. But then I actually did learn this, or did learn the calculation for it by a number of different people. So there are different techniques to actually calculate that number. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out what works best for you. I found out what works best for me. So here's how it goes. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. Hello, hello, Miss Damali J. Damali is saying, sending healing prayers to ones in need. You are not alone. I'm praying. Don't worry, Eric. Those are beautiful blocks. My fave friendship star and 9-patch block. Okay. So Damali J is another prayer warrior. Thank you. We'll have to drive over 2 hours to get my sewing machine cleaned and serviced now, since the Husqvarna Viking centers are closed. Closest one now is in Columbia, Missouri. Wow. You know, if I needed to get my long arm serviced, I have to actually drive 4 hours to Salt Lake City. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll just figure it out on my own. Got a Sapphire 930 for a great price. The dealers have to honor your warranty. Galleries are owned by corporate. Oh, okay. Hi, Cheryl. She says she uses the Robert Kaufman app to tell me what to cut the side setting triangles so the outside isn't on the bias. Yes. So thank you for mentioning that, Cheryl. There is an app that you can download on your phone. Do I even have it on here? There it is. So Robert Kaufman quilting calculator. And it gives you, well, advertiser. Come on. There's various things that it can help you calculate. I'm sorry, I know the camera can't. Well, let me see if I can get it to focus. So fabric measurements, backing, batting, piece count. If you want to do square in the square, set in and corner triangles, in which you can kind of it gives you instructions there on how to use this particular calculator. This is actually a really good app to download on your phone for quilters. And it gives you what square that you need to cut, and then you'll cut it or cross cut it diagonally so that you actually get 4 pieces of a side setting triangle. And the benefit of doing it using this technique is that you do your edges, when you complete your quilt top, they will not be on the bias. What a lot of people do, and this is what I first did when I first started quilting. Sorry, let me refocus the camera there. You know, say for example, if this square was the size of your quilt block, a lot of people will just kind of, they don't want to do all the math. So, or they don't have the Robert Kaufman app. So what they will do is they just cut a square the same size as their unfinished block. And they'll just take that and then just cut it diagonally. Problem with that though is because you did cut it on the bias, now you have a biased edge on your quilt top, and a lot of people don't like that. For me personally, if you're okay with working with the bias, no problem. But for individuals like me, I do have a problem with if I have a quilt block that's that has biased edges. I do notice that I tend to stretch the fabric a lot when I'm putting it through the sewing machine. So I personally don't like to have biased edges on a block or even a quilt like that. Of course, I know I can stay stitch it, but that's just another extra step for me. Even if the fabric is heavily starched, again, for me personally, I do have a tendency of actually stretching out the fabric as I put it through the sewing machine or as I'm sewing the pieces together. So yeah, the bias is not really my friend, especially if it's on the edge. Now, there are times where I do like the bias, when I have to sew a curve or when I just have to kind of like miscut something and I can stretch it a little bit. Yeah, that's when I do love the bias, but yeah, not for me. I do like to use that method. And one of the ways I will, if I'm want to check my math, I will use that Robert Kaufman app to see if I'm doing it correctly or if the math is good. But I did find an instructor that actually taught how to do it without the app, because she's a little old school. Here's how it goes. So first thing you have to do when you want to cut those side set in triangles is figure out what is the finished size of your block. Now these blocks are 6.5 inches. So finished size, 6 inches. So this is the unfinished block, 6.5, which means it'll finish to 6 inches. Where is my other ruler? The trick is, what is the measurement that you really need is what is the diagonal of that block. So from this point to this point, again, it's the diagonal of the finished size of the block. So this right now, I can't really use this block to measure it because this is the unfinished size. So what I have to do then is on my mat here, if I can maneuver it that way. Sorry, I got a power bar that's sitting right there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my 6-inch mark. So the distance between here and here, the corner and right there, that's the measurement that I need. In which that actually measures what do you know? 8.5. Just about 8.5. Yep. Okay. To that, I'm going to add 1.25 inches. So 8.5, 9.5 would be 1 inch, 9 3/4. So to get those side set in triangles, I'm going to cut a square. I don't have a 10-inch square. Actually, I don't have anything that size right now. So I would cut a square fabric that is 9 3/4 square. Cut it twice on the diagonal, and then I got 4 triangles that are the right size to actually sew on as my side set in triangle. Simple. Okay, now in certain cases, you may want to go a little bigger, or just round up your number. Sometimes if you have a block and you do that measurement and it comes out like 9 or 9 3/8 or something that's like really weird, round it up to the next 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, because you can always cut it down and square it up later on. In fact, a lot of times I will actually round it up. Instead of going 1.25 inches bigger, I will go 1.5 to even up to 2 inches bigger, just to make sure that I can trim it down and get it to the right size when the whole quilt top is put together. Okay. This block went there. So maybe not today, we won't do that, but maybe next week we'll actually put those side set in triangles, or the next live we'll put those side set in triangles. But for now, let's continue putting the rows together. So Molly Fisher says Joann's will have a big last minute closeout sale late April, early May. Hopefully that's when the real discounts actually come into play then. Just checked our weather here, still just 47 degrees, some wind, very cloudy, and all around dreary day, but the quilting will keep me smiling. Okay. Molly Fisher says, gotta run. Have a great day, everyone. Well, thank you for stopping by, Molly. We're going to go for another 20 minutes or so. So, Brenda says, when I started quilting, I purchased a specialty OmniGrid ruler from Fons and Porter to cut my set ends, corners, cut markings on the ruler. Yeah, there are some tools which can help you cut those side set in triangles. So if you got the money for it, hey, why not use those tools? I have that Robert Kaufman app on my phone and I use it a lot. It's easy to follow and understand. That's Kim Burris. Okay, next row. Yeah, I'm gonna start from, let's see here. Can I reach it? Yep. 2 and 3. So here's the first 3 blocks. Now, I'm not gonna have a problem with the browns being so close together, so let's just use it. Whoop, something's caught under there. I'll press that open. I think it went that way, so I will lay this. Press that back. This is number 3, so I can put this there. And I'll finger press this one back. I can move that rotary cutter out of my way completely. Well, actually I can't because, well, no, I'll cut those later. Okay, we're ready for the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I will So I just need to sew sashings to the left side of the block. Finger press this back and add that to my collection. Hold on. Oh, I thought I had a repeat. This block looks very similar to the first block that I sewed, but it's just the same fabrics. So this is the final block, so I will need to sew on both sides, sashing pieces on both sides of these. So we'll put one here. There. Finger press that back, put that back in the stack. I will sew off on a piece of scrap here so I can get this one off. And what do you know, this is the last piece. So I guess after this row, we will call it a live because I have to cut some more fabric. And Molly J says, "Hey, you looky-loos, please hit the thumbs up before you go." Thank you, Damali. Okay. So now I can actually start sewing the blocks together. I should have thought of this earlier, but next time we sew this quilt together, I need to figure out how to move the camera or set up a mobile camera so that you can actually get an up closer view as to what the quilt, or as I put the rows together, what it looks like. So that was number 1 and 2. This is number 3 and number 4. Oh, I forgot. I gotta press this one out. Well, I'll change that later. So that is 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So here's 5 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I can sew these two together. This is 5 and 6, and this can go on top of that. Can cut this off, and I will sew off on this piece of scrap there. Doo-doo-doo. Now I can sew the two halves together. And we will call this row complete. Oh, I need this. Okay, we got this row done. Let's see. There we go. Wow, this row is long. Not even the entire row can even fit in the camera frame. Okay, so I could put the row on like this, where I know this is actually supposed to be the bottom corner. So it actually goes where this I had planned to go on the upper top corner. But it's very, again, this is one of those things where it's very easy to switch it around, in which I could end up doing that, which will be fine. Whoops. But no, I wanted this to actually go this way because of the color combination. No. think so. Yeah, it's coming together. So, you know what? We're going to call it here. We've been on for over an hour and a half, but yeah. Um, Let me try something for a second here. No, I better not. I was going to take the camera off of its mount and then move the camera around, but that will probably not be a good idea. So, all right, guys. We're going to call it a live session for this morning. But let me first catch up with some comments or any last minute questions. Can you teach us how to do ornaments? Molly, actually, there is a video where I walk you through. It is. Let me warn you, it is a fairly long video, but there is a video out there which I do walk you through the step-by-step process on how I put some ornaments together. Let me see if I can find that video. Here it is. Found it. I'll copy this link and then put it in the chat. So that link or that video actually walks you through the whole process of how to put together. Again, let me warn you, it is a very long video, but it kind of puts you to or walks you through the steps of how I put together a basic star ornament. Okay, Kim is saying beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Remo. Bye, Joyce. Okay, y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Take care, stay safe. Okay, thank you, Kim. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. That's Donna. Okay, so everybody's kind of saying their goodbyes, knowing that we are ending. So we're going to go ahead and call it a live. I want to say thank you guys for joining me here this morning. We will continue on with this quote on the next live, which might be next Sunday morning or maybe Sunday late in the evening. Who knows? But we'll put an announcement out there on the channel, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend, and we will see you when we see you. So for now, let's all get out there and let's all create something. Mwah. Bye for now.